Well, hi there. As you can see by the title, it is time for another travel vlog. So while I was on the plane flying to Germany with my cousin Kristin, she pointed to the map on the screen in front of us and said, "You see those little islands right there? I'm gonna be going there next February to visit my friend." And you know what that means? That means I was also going to the islands because she cannot escape me. Actually, she asked her friend if I can go and he said yeah, and I was like, I don't really know if I want to go because I just went to Germany and traveling's kind of expensive. And then I remembered that you only live once and this passport needs some more stamps, so off to Portugal we went. Now, before we get too excited, I might have made a mistake. I recently bought a new video camera. I told myself, Sarah, you should really watch some tutorials so you understand how to use your camera. But if there's one thing about me, it's that I don't listen to any advice, even advice from myself. So because of that, about half of the videos I recorded on this thing are all in slow-mo. And I didn't realize this until like halfway through the trip, so there's gonna be a lot of slow-mo shots in this. Like, we're just gonna have to roll with it. We're just gonna be like, ooh, ah, slow-mo. It's the deal. Now, luckily, I also filmed on my phone, so like not all is lost, but I'm just warning you now. You're gonna see a lot of slow-mo. Anyways, back to the vlog. So for those of you who don't know, Portugal does have some islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and because they are isolated in the ocean, they're a little tricky to get to. So our final destination was Terceira Island. Now, to get to that island, you have to take a plane from Ponta Delgada. And to get to Ponta Delgada, you have to fly out of either Boston or JFK. And when we looked up the flights, Boston seemed like the easier choice. Or so we thought. So I hopped in the car, went to the airport to take my flight to Boston. Are you gonna miss me, Nyla? Are you gonna miss me? Wow. I see how it is. What about you? Are you gonna miss me? Huh? Wow. She cares more about the toy than she does me. Now, I recently just got TSA pre-check, and this was my first flight doing it, because if any of you have been to the Orlando airport, you know it can get a little hectic, and this day was one of those days. Like, everyone and their mom was at the airport, and I am so glad I got TSA pre-check because this was the waiting time, and I later heard from somebody else on my flight that it took them 2 hours to get through TSA, whereas it took me 15 minutes. So, in my mind, it's worth it. So with that being a breeze and the weather being beautiful, I figured it was gonna be a great day for flying, no problems, all was gonna go well, right? Wrong. So first off, as soon as I get to the airport, Kristin's texting me because her flight's been delayed multiple times. Then I get to my gate and my flight is now delayed by like 2 hours. So I go over to the food court, and like I said, everyone and their mom is at the Orlando airport today. And during the time I'm standing there, I'm looking up my flight to make sure it's not getting delayed again. And my flight is now back to the original time, which is making me panic. So I get my food finally, run back to the gate. It's chaos because there's so many planes trying to like deboard and board at the same time. Then Spirit comes on the intercom and is like, psh. So yeah, the time listed on the board is not accurate. So like we don't really know when you're flying out. You'll board when you're bored. And before any of you are like, why would you fly Spirit? It was my only option. When I was looking up flights to Boston on that day, the only thing that was available that wasn't like $500 was Spirit. And I had flown Spirit once before and had no problem, so I just assumed it would be fine. I was wrong. Finally, we do board the plane. Luckily, we didn't have to wait too long. So I get on the plane, fly to Boston, and then we finally land, and I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm texting Kristin. Kristin's already at the airport, and the pilot comes on the intercom, and he's like, ksh. Hi guys, we have landed, but it appears the gate is still in use, so we are going to have to temporarily wait until the plane moves. It shouldn't be too long, but we're just gonna hang out here for a little bit until the gate opens up. All right, thanks. Well, that turned into 2 hours, and I had a plane to catch at like 8:55, and we were coming up on 7, 7:30, 8:30, I'm like freaking out. Kristin's texting me. She's like, why aren't you getting off the plane? And I was like, I don't know. They said that there's no gates available. The clock is ticking. I'm like trying not to have a panic attack. And finally, thankfully, at like the last minute, they pulled us into the gate. I somehow was lucky enough to be sitting in like the 3rd row. I like busted past everybody. I was like, I've got a plane to catch, move! And they're all out of the way. And then we just take off towards our gate. But like, I have not ran for a long time. So I lasted maybe like 30 seconds. And I was like, okay, Kristin, you go ahead. I'll make it eventually. We made it. Coughing because I had to run. On the plane. Finally. We landed. It's 6 a.m. here. One more flight to go. So we landed in Ponta Delgada. Our plane was supposed to take off, I think like an hour or 2 after that. So we sat by our gate, got ready, and then guess what? Flight delayed. I was like, oh my god. But luckily this one was only delayed like 30 minutes or whatever, so we finally got on this little plane. So we took off, and the flight is really quick. It was only about 35 minutes. So finally around like 7 or 8 a.m. we landed in Terceira Island. Everybody, I just woke up. Apparently I slept 10 hours, so I guess you could say I was a little tired. But I realized that I never gave a tour of our hotel because I pretty much crashed. So here's the view from our balcony. Ooh, it's much nicer today than it was yesterday, but we'll see the inside. Say hi. Hey. I'm trying to show her more often, since in the Germany video, all I really got was her back. So try not to walk ahead of me so much this time. So here is where I slept. And then we both have TVs. Here's where Kristin slept. We get this nice little kitchen area. And then here's our bathroom with this nice tub. And I guess this is a bidet, but we don't understand how it works because like the water only goes down. So, and then like, does the seat come up? Does it say down? Like I don't know. I was like, is this like a foot wash? Like, cause it only goes down. Like, maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. It does not look like my bidet at home, so I'm not sure. So yeah. We're both finally up, so I guess it's time to get ready for the day. So now that we were all rested, we decided to go to Mount Brazil and decided to hike to the top. And look, let me tell you something. I'm not a hiker and I'm not good at uphill or inclines, but I have it in my head that it won't be that hard until I'm doing it. And then I feel like I'm dying. Look at all this glorious sweat. Woo! Do the limbo. Squat. Drop it like it's hot. She got it, folks. Woo. Look at him go. No struggles. And then there's me. Oh, God help me. Unfortunately, a lot of the clips here were the slow-mo, but you can watch me struggle in slow-mo right here. Here you go. But we did eventually make it to the top, and the views were so pretty. But the best part, we ran into like a cat colony. They literally have like little houses for the cats. It's like every time I turned a corner, there was another cat, and I was like, this is the highlight of my trip. Come here, baby. Hello. Hi! This, guys, this is heaven. There's cats everywhere. We've got one in the tree. The hike was worth it because I get to be with all these babies. Kristin and her friend eventually ditched me because I was just taking too long with the cats. But I was like, this is my moment. This is what I live for. Come here! Hi! I got ditched because I stayed behind to play with the cat. Is this what it feels like to be a Disney princess and have a sidekick? We are traveling. Where'd you go? We are traveling together. Come on. So after I spent a long time with the cats and taking pictures, I went to follow them, and when I reached them, they told me, oh my god, Sarah, like on top of this thing is the best view. Like you have to go up these little stairs, it's the best view. Now, one thing about this island is that it is windy, and when I got on top of that little thing, I just had it in my head the wind was gonna blow me away. I don't even think I looked at the view. I think I put my camera up to get it, and I was just like, I'm gonna die! So she had me climb on this pole for the best view, and I'm afraid, so I'm just holding on for dear life. But I don't like this. Here's the view. I'm gonna fly away. Okay, we're gonna go down this together. It's not even that high, but the terror is real. We're doing it together. It doesn't help that these steps are smaller than my feet. Oh, thank Jesus. Now the next day, we, and by we I mean I, decided to go to São Miguel Island. The only problem with it is our flight was at like 6, 7 a.m., which means we had to wake up at like 5:30, and guys, I'm not a morning person, and I, of course, didn't fall asleep until like 12 and then woke up at 3 a.m. and couldn't go back to sleep. So I was running on like 3 hours of sleep, all because it was my idea to go to this island. We could have just slept in, but no, I wanted to go. We're at the airport and the sun's not even up, so. And I'm not in front of her for once. For once. I was gonna say crack of dawn, but I don't really know what, like, what classifies as crack of dawn, so. Before the crack of dawn. Airplane time. Woo! So we hopped on the tiny plane again, took the half-hour flight. We finally landed around like 8 a.m. and then we just started driving around. So once we drove around for a little bit, we went to one of the hot springs. That was one of the things like Kristin really wanted to do, and so we went, and let me tell you, the hot springs was one of my favorite parts. It's hot springs time. Let's go. So there are a few different areas in the hot springs. First up, we have the hottest one, and as you can see by the water boiling, it is not something that you can go in. The sign said the temperature was between 100 degrees to 140 degrees, so yeah, nobody's swimming in that. But just to the right of that are where the two hot springs are located. But off in the back was where this beauty was hidden. Now, unlike the others, this one was not hot. It was actually on the colder side, but I just could not get enough of these beautiful waterfalls. So this is where I spent majority of my time while we were at the springs.
All right, we are leaving the hot springs. I think I'm the only one that liked the cold one. Yeah, they liked the warm ones, but I spent most of my time in the cold one with the waterfall. What can I say?
Now, the last thing on our itinerary that I really wanted to do was go see waterfalls. So we hopped in the car, went to the waterfalls, and it exceeded my expectations. Like, I had seen it online, it looked pretty, but when I got there, I was like, oh. It was so beautiful. I just wanted to be there forever. It was so pretty. So we stayed there for a little bit, and then it was time to drive back to the airport and go back to Terceira Island. So the next day Eric had to work, so Kristin and I just slept in and kind of hung out around the hotel for a bit. We did go get some lunch together. After that, we wanted to go see, I'm gonna butcher these by the way, Gruta do Natal and Algar do Carvão. So the first one we went to was the lava tubes. It's basically these caves you go through. Now before you go in, they give you a hard hat, and I was like, why do we need a helmet? This is why.
Watch your head. Ah! The cave exploring, Sarah.
Oh, hell no.
Start doing video content on caves. How many times can I hit my head on the same rock? You're doing great. You're the next Laura Croft.
I don't like this.
Hey, but now you can stand up straight.
Oh.
Y'all see this? Oh. I still think we look like jockeys with these helmets.
All you're gonna see is my butt for the next.
You're gonna have to get down lower.
Oh, there's poles. Thank God.
Do the duck walk, Sarah. Come on. It's middle school all over again.
My socks are wet now. Can I go up yet?
Maybe.
Oh, my shoes.
I love how, like, I barely have to bend over in comparison.
Oh, my shoe is soaked.
Short people problems.
They're like 2 inches less than me, I think.
I know, but, like, I only had to get down this far.
Must be nice.
On your hands and knees.
So yeah, after I banged my head 20 times, we went over to the other site, Algar do Carvão. Oh my god, I know my accent's the worst. And it was time to go inside a volcano. Now this I thought was really cool. It is a 90-meter deep volcano chimney that was formed thousands of years ago when an eruption happened. Being at the bottom and just looking up at the hole up top was so beautiful. Now the lake that's pools at the bottom is just mostly from rainfall that comes through. So how deep it is varies on the season and how much rainfall comes in. So the next day was going to be the day that we were flying out. Now, one thing I have wanted to do my entire life is go whale watching. And when I was looking up things to do for our trip, whale watching was something that kept popping up, and I was like, is now my chance? Now this was gonna be a very tight thing because the tour said it was gonna start at 8. We'd have to go to our hotel, checkout was at noon, and then drive to the airport for our flight at like 1:30. So when we first got there, we talked to them about it and they were like, oh, it'll probably end around 11:30, 12. Kristin was like, I don't know, this is a really close call. Like, I think we should just skip it. And we all agreed that it was probably best idea to just skip it because it would be cutting it too close. And I was devastated. But as we were walking away, the employee came running after us and she was like, hey, I talked to the captain and I think it's gonna be doable. So we went back, we talked to the captain, and he was like, I can get you back by 11:30, like no later than 11:30, I promise you it'll be fine. So we decided to just go ahead and do it. Now, unfortunately, my luck was not good and we saw no whales. Why do the whales hate me? But we did see so many dolphins, and I have always loved dolphins, so that was really exciting. I did get a little seasick at certain points when we were really far out because the water was really choppy, but it was really pretty to see the island from another view, and I love seeing all the dolphins. So like he said, we got back like at 11:30 on the dot, went to the hotel, grabbed our stuff, and then went to the airport. Got on our flight, got to Ponta Delgada, got on our flight, and then it was back to Boston.
Back to the States.
Now, staying in Boston was not originally a part of our plan, but when I was looking up flights to come back home, there were no flights that left Boston that night back to Orlando. So we decided to just spend one day in Boston. We went to our hotel, passed out, woke up the next day, and Kristin, being the coffee addict she is, we had to go to a coffee shop. We got this little waffle that was actually really good. Now, our hotel was actually pretty close to Harvard, so we decided to just walk on over there, check it out, and I, of course, had to have my Elle Woods moment.
You got into Harvard Law?
What, like it's hard?
Elle Woods has arrived in all of her pink to Harvard.
So after that, we got in an Uber, drove into town, and that's when we did the Freedom Trail. Time for the Freedom Trail.
The Golden Dome, one of Boston's distinguishing landmarks, wasn't always gilded. It was originally built of wood.
Tour guide Kristin.
Paul Revere and Sons were commissioned in 1802 to cover it with copper to prevent water leakage.
Ooh.
In 1874, it was gilded with 23-karat gold leaf.
Ooh. She's my personal tour guide for the day. I said you're my personal tour guide. We are cold. Cold. We looked at the temperatures of where we live. 75 for her and 86 for me. I told her she needs to start picking vacations in the summer.
You know, I go to the mountains in the summer.
My tour guide walked off without me. She's not getting a tip.
So yeah, we really just walked around. I was freezing the entire time. We stopped occasionally here and there. Then we walked across the bridge, and at this point we were just freezing. So we went back to the hotel. So we just kind of hung around until it was time to go out. We went back downtown, got dinner, and then went over to this little bar. And let me tell you, the bartender there really liked to get people drunk. So he started bringing out like all these really strong liquors that I'd never had before. He was like, have you had absinthe? And I was like, I don't think so. And he's like, here you go. He gave me 4 different ones. I don't even remember what they were all. And each time I was like, and he was thoroughly enjoying it. So I think it's safe to say that when we left, I was feeling real good. So we went back to the hotel and just kind of crashed. We had been talking about maybe going to Salem the next day because both of our flights weren't until like 3 p.m. But after I had all those drinks, I was like, we're not going to Salem. So we finally got to the Boston airport. Kristin and I just kind of hung out for a while until we had to separate. So she could go to her plane, I can go to mine. Bye bye.
This is where we part ways. Sad. Peace out. See you. Bye bye. There she goes.
So I got on the plane, got in my seat, watched 50 First Dates and Legally Blonde. Finally I landed and then came home. So that was our trip to Portugal. I really enjoyed myself. It was really beautiful over there. Honestly, the waterfalls did it for me. Waterfalls and cats. You have those 2 things and I'm a happy camper. So I was pretty excited. Now as for Boston, Boston wasn't our favorite. Sorry. But we do want to go back to visit Salem one day. So hopefully I can do that in the fall because that's something I've wanted to do for a while, is go to Salem. But for now, that was our vlog video. Thank you for watching, and I wonder where I'll go next. Bye guys.